I'll start it off, okay? Because I know some of our listeners and viewers had a complaint that I pretty much ruined the last episode. Well, not the last episode, but the episode before that. The last episode I was in,
How
because
did
I
you
was just
ruin it?
so, I was
Dennis
so jaded
ruins the
about.
internet.
Yeah, I was so jaded about GP, and people were like, "Why is this guy on the
Ah,
GP podcast if he's so jaded?"
It's true.
Well, guess what? Mugello GP pretty much brought me back to life. That was an awesome race. I thought it was like a great race of three parts. You know, each part was exciting. We had like the first part where you got like guys like Miller and Rins charging to the front. When Dovey bunched up all the riders, like it looked like the 10 riders could actually have a legit chance at podiums or a win. And then obviously the underdog Petrucci's finish. That was a really really great finish to bookend the whole thing. It was just a lot of good racing from the front riders for this round, and it kind of just shocked my heart back to life.
you just have high standards, Dennis.
No, I
That's
just
all
you know
it
what?
is.
It was layered excitement.
Yeah, so I mean, three parts is a good way to put it. Like we kind of had everything that we've seen exciting out of like the modern era of MotoGP in it. Like you already said, you know, Dovizioso bunched up the field because they were worried about the hot track temp and the tire wear. We saw someone get a good pace in Rins and try and break away, and then we had an exciting finish at the end with a
Right.
brand new winner.
Hands down, if Petrucci didn't finish, I would have given Rins the ride for the day.
Oh, I mean, even like even if Petrucci didn't win, I still would have enjoyed the entire race. It would be the first Marquez win that I've been excited about in a long time. We'll just put it that
That's
way.
true. That's true.
But funny enough, I actually had a friend come over for his first time viewing of MotoGP, and
A
he
virgin viewer?
yes.
Oh.
So my boy Casey, who I've known for a very long time, he actually showed up with like 7 laps to go in Moto 3 and was like, "Holy fuck, this is like a go-kart race. They're passing each other all the time." So I explain all the drafting and I tell him how awesome these races are. And then we were watching Moto 2, and Moto 2 is a little bit more reserved.
A little
you know?
underwhelming, yeah.
Yeah, but I was cheering for Balda because he started coming through the field. I'm like, this guy has the talent. Like, maybe he can do it. And then he doesn't end up getting there and all that good stuff. But then we get to MotoGP, and like towards the end of the race, I was like I've got this guy hooked, but I've ruined his excitement for watching motorcycle
Oh,
racing
yeah.
because it's never
Yeah.
going to be this good ever again.
Great expectations, man. Great expectations.
I just like the idea of being a fly on the wall when Rob is explaining GP to like a brand new virgin, because Rob is wanting to be like, okay, so there's these tires and they're 17 inches in diameter, and the contact patch has a wide U shape, and at 120 to 127 degrees ambient track temperature, this chemical process happens to congeal and create like the greatest thing. And they're going on the street, and the coefficient of drag on this bike is slightly lower than this bike. So we're talking about coefficient of drag, and then Y equals mx plus b, and suddenly you have the intercept form of the slope of who's gonna win coming out of the final turn, right? And this guy's like, pretty colors, man. Like, I tried to see Rob trying to balance that. You know what I mean? Like,
So but the cool thing is that's what I used Moto 2 for. Because it was a little reserved, you know. There was time to talk about it, time to build some of the technical excitement. I did have to explain
Technical
why
excitement.
the
Oxymoron of the
oh
episode.
my god, yeah, I'm such
I
a
had time to build technical excitement.
Can I get a
Guys,
can I get a title there?
following this episode, we will have an episode of Intervention starring Robert Pierce.
No, I was able to explain why Moto 3 bikes are faster through the corners than the GP bikes. You know, related it to tire width and horsepower and all that good stuff. So yeah, that happened after Moto 3. But yes, no, you're not wrong. Thankfully, my homeboy is also an engineer, so he got
So
at
so
least
he
half
knew
of
his
it.
audience, Kev. That's what it was.
Yeah. All right, Kev. Let's get to the part that you really want to talk about. It's your homeboy here, Danilo Petrucci. Are you gonna wax poetically about the
throwing me
underdog
off.
story?
One of the things that bugged me about last episode too is like the for like years, I've been honing the organic introduction of the rant. And now Rob's like, hey, YouTube, we got to have more than one segment because like a 2-hour video doesn't get as many listens as a 2-hour video broken into like 6 segments. People listen, they
Don't
find
give
out
away
which
our
parts they like and
secrets.
don't like and all of that. Yeah, it's a secret. Binge our shit. I don't know. And so Rob's like, okay, so go ahead and shoot. Rant. Little did he know this rant was going to be on him himself. But like, it's got to more organically flow, bro. It's a conversation. It's BrotoGP. It's an intimate setting. We all have our alcohol. It's late at night. I'm listening to Dennis. I'm like half mass. I see Rob doing his hair in the beginning, which I put on Instagram stories, and now I'm full mass, and I'm ready to go, and I'm like easing myself in. Rob's trying to literally put it in my butt without like kissing my neck a little bit right now. It's too soon. I'm not saying I'm against the idea.
Yeah, you gotta rim it a little bit, Rob.
I need more than one glass. You gotta say, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I thought you had the Chilean white going already, and we were going to be fine.
I do, but you need more than one glass.
Oh man. I actually no, never mind.
If you
Bad
want
train of
this
thought.
ass, you gotta fill the glass.
All right, how to do a little foreplay to get Kev going so that we can talk about Danilo Petrucci. Shall we set the scene on Danilo Petrucci's career?
Ooh,
So
mood.
if you didn't notice, or if you didn't know actually, the last time Danilo Petrucci won a race was likely in European Superstock 1000. Which
Intriguing.
how long ago was that?
Before CRT,
Sordid
before
affairs
Rules team.
in his European past. I'm getting warm.
Yeah, so the last time Danilo Petrucci won a race was in 2011
Yeah.
at the Great Britain round, actually, at Silverstone with the European Championship. He came second in the championship that year. Guess what motorcycle he was riding?
Aprilia?
Intriguing.
No, he was
Jesus
on a
Christ,
he was on a Ducati.
Read the room, bro.
Read the room. Every single tag on this video on YouTube is just going to be Ducati this, Ducati that, Ducati that.
Yes,
and it's going to work.
Rob is trying to get me going. He's trying to ease me in, and Dennis is that weird guy in the corner of the gangbang just jacking off, watching. Going, yeah,
With the camera.
let's get to the most.
Instantly demonetized.
Right? Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean...
Okay, here's the thing. I'll set the mood because we're talking about the Italian GP. We're talking about riding Ducatis. And we've got two different guys that we've been talking about since we started this season. We got Jack Miller and Danilo Petrucci. And they're in a little bit of a rivalry. They're fighting for a seat. They're swapping podiums. And both these guys see Italian round, Italian bike. Jack Miller's like, fuck you, Italian sponsored. I'm going to throw it down the ditch. And Petrucci, meanwhile, is going, right? Because that's the way that you actually, get the factory Ducati is you crash their bike at their home track with their Italian, major Italian sponsor for the round.
He didn't crash the Lamborghini, though. So he's still up at least 1 point.
He didn't crash the actual Lamborghini.
Yeah,
Right.
He crashed a Lamborghini-sponsored motorcycle.
Right. Correct. So, but I mean, for me, I think there was a long time ago where Valentino Rossi was kind of quoted as saying, like, there's winning the championship, and the thing that comes closest to that feeling that's like, nearly as good or right up there, or like of the special things you can do in GP. Like, there's tiered, you know what I mean? Like, outside of winning the championship, winning Mugello is like the thing. If you're an Italian dude who probably shouldn't even fucking be there to begin with, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't even. I mean, of all the world champions on the grid, he's one of the few that isn't one.
Actually, that was one of the things that I explained to my buddy too. Like, oh yeah, the normal way you get into MotoGP is you do pre-GP, then you race like Moto3 in the national championship, and you win that. Then you race Moto3, and you go through all this, and then the guy that wins the race is like, oh yeah, no, he didn't do any of that.
The guy comes from where the guy is not supposed to be there. Like, even we made those jokes about Jack Miller, like the everyman. He was still like the golden child. You know what I mean? Like, he got all the special treatment. KTM factory, he gets brought straight from Moto3 to Moto2, or excuse me, to MotoGP. He skips Moto2. He gets all of the special treatment, right? Like, all of these guys are babied. Like, I hate to say it, but like, they're all fucking prima donnas. Like, all of them are narcissistic to the nth degree prima donnas that you probably wouldn't actually really like if you hung out with anyway. And then there's this guy who claws and scrapes like tooth and nail just to get to fucking GP. He's on a CRT bike, which Casey Stoner, the dude behind Dennis right now, says like, I don't even want to ride because these bikes are on the track. Like, this is one of the reasons I'm retiring, because these bikes, and they're like the laughing stock, right? No one wants them. He has like some crazy sponsor that they're like crowdsourcing their money for that bike. Colin Edwards is pointing out that his BMW is a piece of shit. He's literally tooth and nail and through the like the crypts of GP, you know what I mean? Like, on that CRT bike. Then he gets the Pramac, and then he finally, like, times it perfectly. He shouldn't have that ride. The caliber of rider that's supposed to be on that bike is not Danilo Petrucci's, like, pedigree. The only reason he got it is because Jorge Lorenzo was doing so bad, and then he didn't think he was going to get re-signed, and so he just jumped ship to Honda. 3 races later, he'd still be at Ducati as Gigi's golden boy, winning more races. Probably winning this race. But he doesn't. It's all literal, like my grandfather said this a million times. It's 1/3 luck, 1/3 skill, and 1/3 who you know. That's the secret to everything. And this guy, like, crawled his way with all his skill. He was Italian. He knew he did all the stuff he could, and then he was in the right place at the right time. Gets the 1-year contract. Everyone's kind of like, what? He's just a placeholder. Jack Miller's gonna take that thing and all that. And then what does he do when push comes to shove at like the one race that if he won, he would like. They're gonna have a fucking mural at Ducati for this race. You know what I mean? Like, this dude was like a policeman or something, like, before he was racing. Like,
no, he was
great. Yeah. How many? And then right. And then what does this guy do when he gets to the press conference? He's apologizing to everyone. He's self-deprecating to the nth degree again. I'm sorry to Danny and this and that. Blah 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 blah.
Dovey,
excuse me, Dovey, not Danny. And he literally is like a dude that you know.
It was,
you know what I mean?
Is the antithesis of the MotoGP prima donna.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. That word, by the way, is antithesis, not antithesis.
Sorry.
No, I'm
going to give you a pass because never, ever, ever make fun of someone for mispronouncing something, because that means they learned it by reading.
See?
But if you misspell something, that fucking means you don't read.
I mean, they could have learned it from someone else.
Yeah,
mispronouncing it.
Bad memory.
No, we're gonna move on from that. I really enjoyed the post race press conference because it was black and white. They talked to Danilo Petrucci. It seemed like he talked for 25 minutes, just thanking Ducati, thanking Dovizioso, apologizing for the rough pass, like talking about team orders and all this other stuff, and then they get to Marquez and it's the same scripted response as everyone else gives. Yeah, there was one question that Marquez responded to. I can't remember. It was towards the end of his bit there that I thought was genuine, but it was 80% canned response and 20% genuine, whereas Danilo Petrucci was 95% genuine, 5% canned response.
Right, real.
Yep,
keeping it real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the only thing is
I think his writing also is exhibits pretty much his personality. Like, I was thinking while I was writing that it was, whereas Dovizioso has the racecraft, right, the way that he rides, and then Marquez obviously has a talent. Like, Petrucci just rides with heart, you know, man. I mean, he does everything just
and
from
elbows,
the heart. That too, but
and fucking knees. That guy's like 9 feet tall.
He is one of the biggest riders. I think he's
like 5'7".
He's big.
He is he is the largest rider, probably at 155 pounds.
The largest rider, yet the most masterclass underdog ride that I've seen. That I gotta say that was actually one of the most beautiful rides and wins I've seen in a while.
Oh wait, he actually the MotoGP website lists him at 78 kilos, which is 172 pounds.
Oh
But
He's
my
that
a
can't be
god.
big
right.
boy.
That can't be
Right, I mean,
right because for the past 4 years they've said, oh, he's lost 10 kilos in the winter. He's lost 10 kilos in the winter, so he
It's
can't
the
be.
same 10 kilos.
Packs it on
I
right when
mean,
the season ends.
what do you need to win the race? A whiny George or one thick boy?
Oh wait, and he's 100. Well, actually, they have him listed at 5'11. So
Did you see the pictures? He's like two Marquez's.
yeah, that's not hard to do.
I mean, yeah, he's the press conference just showed that this is the same thing we were saying, Dennis, is that he's not the groomed manufacturer. Like, he reminds me of the guys when I started watching. Like,
Yeah.
we've said this before that like Rossi's dominance kind of started the era, or I don't say started it, but like took it to the next level of the created manufactured star. Like,
It forced
the
it.
Pedros, it forced the hand, right? And so what happens is like the whole grid are those people now. Like, the whole grid are all of these guys at this point, because we're 10 years on since he's won a championship, let alone since that whole paradigm changed. And Danilo's not even supposed to be there, so what do we get when he is there? Like, someone actually genuine, someone, who is straight from the heart, like is actually maybe slightly surprised. Like, you always believe in yourself, but you always kind of second guess or question.
Yeah.
He said in the press conference he thought about quitting.
Right, twice
Multiple times. Retiring,
Yeah.
quitting. He literally said, like, I thought I was done. Like, I thought it was over. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
once
now maybe
once in
he's
this
only...
once in the CRT transition to actually getting to Pramac, and then once after kind of like the Pramac thing was looking like it was going to dry up.
Right.
Yeah,
Looking pretty bleak.
It was a lot of uncertainty in his career, but he still managed like he kind of Nicky Hayden'd his way all the way here, like slogged it out, was an amazing like rider, talent, personality, and just kept working hard at it. Right. And you got to respect that. Like, that was the one cool thing another cool thing I was explaining to my friend too, was like, this is the culmination of his entire life's work. Like,
Right.
every single one of his dreams has now been accomplished. Like, I was trying to, like, or in America, maybe we'd compare it to winning the Super Bowl or something, but I think it's even more like grandiose than that. Like, probably winning a gold medal in the Olympics. As
an alternate. You know what I mean? Or like...
Yeah, as an unexpected winner at the Olympics. Yeah, in a high profile event when the Olympics are in your home country.
Right. And it's it's a good way to put it, really, because it's like his whole culmination was like, fuck, if I could just get the GP. Then it's fuck if I could just get on a true GP bike. Damn, if I could just get a podium. That would be good. Solid, just a podium. You know what I mean? You got to remember, he's coming up, you said, when did you say he was in Superstock? 2011 or
2011.
Right? So what era was he cutting his teeth in? The Alien era, where even getting a podium was insane.
It was impossible.
You know what I mean? It's impossible. The number of guys who didn't have a podium or have only a handful in their whole career because of that era and what was going on is outrageous. And then you get your podium and you're like, oh, thank God. And then you're like, wow, like, factory bike. Yo, holy shit. And then, like, you get a win. And again, like, this wasn't like Jack Miller's win or Chris Vermeulen's win. This was a straight, I don't want to say real win, because rain races are real wins.
Right.
Crazy races are real. Like, those are all real wins. But those circumstances are always like, oh, thank God, right place, right time. But if there was ever a thing that he proved, I belong, it's right there. 80 degrees, 120 degrees track temperature, 81 degrees Fahrenheit, sunny, Mugello, the fastest of the fast, you know what I mean? Like, and there he goes. And what does he do? He puts the fucking pedal to the metal, and he literally, like, does the ballsiest pass I've seen in days to like make sure he's in it, and he beats the reigning world champion at his own game basically.
To that point, and that's probably the best and worst time to do it because he had all that pressure being at the home round for Italy on an Italian bike, being an Italian himself, but he did it. And to your point when you were talking about each of his stages in his career, the CRT, the Pramac to the factory, what I like about that when I think about it is that he didn't squander any of those opportunities. Because if there's anything more I hate about people or talented people is when you squander opportunities, and Danilo hasn't done that at all. I thought it was kind of like
that age-old adage, right? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. How many times over the years have we seen like the talent not work hard or whatever, and then you see like it just in the shadows? You know what I mean? Like kind of ho-hum. I mean, it looks like a big goof. You know what I mean? Like
he is.
Yeah, but
right?
he's lost 10 kilos every winter, Kat.
Yeah, exactly.
We know he's been working hard. Actually, there were a bunch of comments from Dovizioso too about his work ethic and just what they did in the off season and the preseason, which we'll get to in a little bit because that's another point I want to talk about.
And that's about the only thing I was bummed about the result. Is like I was kind of hoping for another Ducati 1-2 and Mugello like last year, and also because it'll take away more points from Marquez.
Yeah, I wanted that too because the championship would have went the other way a little bit.
I like that he beat Marquez straight up for it. Like, no excuse. I beat the best guy in the world. On my day when I won, like, if he never wins again and he's retired in Tuscany in 20 years, talking to his fucking kids, and also like that, and he's got the fucking trophy on his mantle, hey, Daddy, how'd you get that? I was the best in the world that day. I beat. You know what I mean? Like Ricky Henderson when he went into the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest lines ever. Today I am the greatest. Or excuse me, when he not when he went into the Hall of Fame, when he broke the stolen bases record, which was hilarious. But that's something that to me makes the story better. I don't want to go with Ducati 1-2 because that's their home round. That's what they did. And they're so powerful. No. That Honda was in it to win it. Marquez was going balls out. He was doing the Marquez. He was stalking him. Final lap, going nuts. You have to worry about that crazy pass. All the mind games he's established over the years about how he's willing to take any risk to try to pass you for the victory. And what does Danilo Petrucci do? Like he beats the best in the world straight up on a perfect day.
Yep. Yeah,
maybe it's maybe he's Hasim Rahman and he knocked out Lennox Lewis and it's done after that, and Buster Douglas with Mike Tyson. Maybe it was just that one day it worked out perfect, but you know who you can say the best motorcycle racer in the world is right now as of recording? Danilo Petrucci.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through my head right now trying to think of a fake asterisk to put on this, like, because there isn't a single one, right? If Dovizioso had got second, everyone would say, oh, it's Ducati track, like of course they're going to beat Marquez. Nope, didn't happen. The only person on the podium that wasn't fighting the cold or flu was Dovizioso,
right?
Like
Honda, like we just skipped over the fact that the dude had the flu.
Yeah,
the flu kills people.
The flu race, kind of like what
right?
Jordan had the
you know
flu
what I
game.
mean? Like, have you ever had the flu? Not like, oh, I'm sick, I don't want to go to work, so I'm like, I have the flu. Like the flu. The flu where like everything hurts, your fucking bones hurt. You know what I mean?
His team said that too, that he was super sore after Friday and Saturday, but then he talked about it in the post-race press conference too. Like after he got into a couple laps, he kind of realized he had something going there and could push through it. And this is what we get. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and what HRC, they are another fake asterisk that wasn't there. The Honda wasn't lacking grunt and wasn't lacking horsepower. So it's not like that Ducati advantage of free passes down the straightaway wasn't there anymore. I mean, that's what we saw in the final lap. The person that made it to the final corner first was Marquez, not a Ducati. Or the first corner first.
Right.
Yeah, no, there isn't a single one. So if we're talking like the antithesis of a wet race win, it's Danilo's win here at Mugello.
Yeah. Also, just as a side note, this is now 3 years in a row that Ducati has won in Mugello with 3 different riders. I mean, not that there's any doubt that the GP is a good bike now, but this is actually a testament to that, in my opinion.
Well, that's an interesting note I've always said is what makes a good bike. Is it better that the bike is specific for a rider because that's an interesting feat of engineering, or is the bike better all around? But for me, the turnaround for Ducati is crazy. Like, that bike went from being the joke to the bike literally everyone wants to be on.
Well, and
I mean,
Everyone
at one
wants
point,
that
at
ride.
one point, Dovizioso, Petrucci, and Miller was leading the race. Like that's how good that bike is.
Right.
Well, and the Ducati, it fell off the cliff just as fast, right? It went from the high of 2006, 2007, very high in 2007, to effectively nowhere in 2010. And then now they've put in so much effort to turn it around and have a bike that, yeah, that is, if you were going to sign for a factory, like not the factory team, but a manufacturer of motorcycles, it would be Ducati because you'd get the best support in the lower teams and you'd eventually make it to a championship contending motorcycle. Whereas we see with all the other factories, the support and the performance just isn't there.
And you know what's interesting about the Petrucci is he sort of shows that there's like that loyalty that still exists. Like, hey,
If you're Italian.
if you're Italian, well, yes, but yeah, that's a good point. But hey, you did pretty good in CRT. We'll give you the chance on the the Italian sponsored CRT team. Hey, you did pretty good in the satellite team. We're gonna give you the GP19. All right, you did pretty, or excuse me, we're gonna give you the current year bike, the GP18. Okay, you did pretty good. We're going to give you the factory team. Like, it's every step of the way. You know what I mean? Like, we've said this before, like, it never mattered if you went to Tech 3 because they didn't, like Zarco, right? Like, no, he's not going to get the Yamaha ride because they don't promote from within except that one time that Valentino left and they gave it to Ben Spies. Like, they don't promote from within. And you don't really ever see anyone with HRC going, you haven't seen someone go from a satellite bike to HRC since Dovizioso.
Yeah, and that
You know
didn't
what I mean?
exactly
Like,
work out well.
and he gets the factory bike, and then the moment someone prettier comes along, that they're trying to get a new date for the dance. Like, Ducati is really kind of building up the, if you start with us, you could theoretically get all the way to the show. Factory bike, you just have to get results, get the correct results. It's kind of crazy, where no other team is doing that. Like, and again, it's not going to happen with KTM. There's no way Oliveira or Hafish are going to that KTM team when it's done. They're going to realize they have to hire an even better talent, throw huge money at. You know what I mean? Like, they're the only team that's kind of showing the baseball minor league systems, like AAA, the minors, then the majors, and then you get, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, it's refreshing for me, I guess, for me personally, to see, like, okay, there's still like the ladder to get to GP. No matter how roundabout Danilo's was, once he was on the GP in Ducati, like, consistent results got him to move up.
You just
can
got to
still
be in
earn
with
your
eyebrows.
spot.
Yeah.
You can still earn your spot. And that was kind of the thing for a while. Like, there's all this talk about Alex Marquez going to Pramac now, maybe, or whatever, and like team guys going straight to the team, or bringing their own sponsors and sponsored riders. And Tito Rabat is still in the series because his dad's like the jeweler to the king or whatever, right? Like, you still proves like there's certain aspects where you can earn your spot. It's not all politics.
There were comments about Real Aventia and how they're looking for young talent now. So I question if Tito and Carl are going to be there next year. I suspect one of them will not be racing there next year. Actually, I don't remember if they're on one-year contracts or not.
All right. I can't remember if they're on 1 year. I know it's a really weird year with Petrucci. And then Petrucci's gamble with the 1 year contract is kind of crazy too. Like, that really worked. He got the one. I mean, he's probably going to seal the deal and sign another year or 2 years, maybe. I mean, I have a hard time thinking they're not going to sign him now.
All right, yeah. So let's round this Petrucci point out with exactly that. The word on the street now is that the conversations between all the Ducati heads and the people that make decisions were going to happen after Catalunya, which is the next round 2 weeks from now. So that means that this round.
That means that Jack Miller better win that shit.
Yeah.
Or off to World Superbike he goes.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, even before Petrucci won, I kind of figured that he already had the leg up over Miller as far as the race or keeping that factory seat.
Yeah, but it's not
now,
even a competition anymore.
that's what I'm saying. But like
Yeah.
now that he has a win, like even though they both have equal GP wins, they're not really still equal. I still think Petrucci's the clear winner.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean that's where my vote is going as well, because we talked about this in our Petrucci Miller segment from the last episode, that there's a chance that they could fight it for the rest of the year, but we totally forgot that these contracts are decided on halfway through the season, almost at the latest. Because of that, Miller is out of time. This crash in Mugello didn't help.
It's already done.
Yeah,
Done deal.
it's done.
Yeah.
So
he has to dominantly win the next race to even be in the conversation. Like that was a drag, because I said like that was like I thought that was gonna be one of our like threads that carried us through Marquez dominance on the podcast. It's like, oh fuck, one episode and it's done. Like it's, he's like, hey, he goes, there's no way that Ducati is not gonna reward that.
Hey, Rob, remind me real quick: is Miller effectively on the same spec bike as the factory squad?
Yeah, so it's a GP19 this year. We haven't heard any stories about like reduced revs or anything like that.
I know
also
all about.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Well, we also haven't heard any stories about like new parts coming for factory Ducati. Like Piro's been testing the tire, the wheel fairings and all that stuff, but we haven't heard about new chassis or new swing arms or new forks or anything. And I think even Jack Miller has the carbon fiber forks now. He probably doesn't have the whole shot device.
So of course I remember the prestige of being a factory rider, but what about Miller just be like the Cal Crutchlow for HRC, stay in the satellite squad with the same spec bike and take a few wins here and there. Like don't be so hung up on being in the factory squad when you already have the factory bike anyway.
So the problem is that Pekka Bagnaia already has the GP20 in contract for next year.
Right,
so
they didn't bring up the Moto2 champion connected to the most famous Italian racer of all time with all of that marketing support behind him to not be like what they're aiming for.
Yeah, so Pramac is currently negotiating for 2 GP20s for next year so they can keep Jack on a current level bike. If he doesn't, or if Pramac is not able to secure another GP20, then Jack would effectively be racing almost the same motorcycle that he has right now. Right. Like Ducati will probably produce another chassis or two, maybe a couple little updates by the end of the year, and then Jack would just get those and then race it for the whole season if he stayed in the Pramac team and if Pramac isn't able to get a GP20 for him. So it's not like
and then the monkey or the wrench in the problem is that there's all these rumors of Alex Marquez, who's back on the win streak. He's got some wins with Estrella Galicia money, wanting to come in, and a Pramac potential ride being, something he wants. That he'll take because beggars kind of can't be choosers. So Ducati's looking at them going, well, name recognition and money, and I won. There's some issues for him there right now on what they're going to do because he's crashed out of half the races right now.
Yeah, how's he? I'm not even going to look up the title results. But what, he's got 2 in a row now. The nepotism still bothers me. It'd be funny if Pramac has to drop Alma for like financial lawsuit reasons or whatever for something criminal, and then they take on the Estrella Galicia Mark VDS, who also had some weird shit go on such that their MotoGP team doesn't exist anymore. It's kind of weird to train one sketchy sponsor for another one. Stick with Lamborghini. They're good. They're set. Well-established sponsor. And the livery was dope.
Yeah. It was pretty sweet, I have to say.
At least it just keep that for the rest of your Pramac, please.
Yeah, I don't understand. The yellow was cool, man, because their normal one they've been running is kind of not that great. But that yellow and black was good. You know what I mean?
A little bit of two-tone, because the color scheme was slightly different on both sides.
Right.
But still, and then the tricolor Italian flag on that kind of star pattern in the middle. Yeah, solid livery. Check it out, people, if you haven't seen it yet.
Right.